Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm Kalikaiz. Today I'm going to be talking about the Pauper metagame on Magic Online. We're taking a look at the 5.0 deck dump for the week of April 5th through the 11th. We're also going to take a look at the challenges that happened over the past weekend. We want to see what's performing, what the metagame looks like, and then we have a very large amount of spicy decks to take a look at as well. I'm excited to get into those because some of these are really wild. So before we get into it, remember you can get sideboard guides for the decks I like to play on patreon.com/Kalikaiz, and you can get early access to videos by joining the membership, which is super helpful for me, helps me keep moving and keep making stuff. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all the members that already have joined. All right, so let's get into the metagame. Over the past week, we had Mono Red Madness not quite as highly represented this time with only 11.9%. Rally Red at 6.8%. So we're looking at about almost 20% of the metagame as a mono red burn. Then behind that, we have Gardens at 7.9%. Then two different variants of Terror with mono blue and Dimir. We saw a solid amount of people playing a variant of mono blue Terror as well. And then Elves, Wildfire. You can see that this metagame for the past week was very flat, which is good. We don't have anything specifically to target, I guess, other than Madness and Terror decks. I think if you're prepared for those, you're probably going to succeed pretty well. So we had, let's see, 177 trophies, which was still very high. A lot of random one-ofs. I'm pretty happy with it overall. Let's get into the spicy decks. So first off, I wanted to point out the Dimir control. Abby J Halves, this is not like super spicy, but they have been playing a Dimir control deck for a while. There's another, this is pretty stock. The next one is a Dimir control as well, but they have chosen to play Snackers in the main deck with the mana attachments to pitch the Snackers and a couple of Modern Ages. Okay, I can get along with that. Now we have a Burn deck from Niederschaden. So they are a very good Pauper player, plays a lot of random stuff, but this looks sort of like the mono 1-drop burn that was playing the equipments to make their creatures bigger. But here, instead of playing the equipments, they're just going all mono 1-drop burn stuff. So we have Clockwork Percussionist for haste. Blast Runner is not a hasty creature, but you can sacrifice something and make it a 3/2 menace, which is very strong. They have Influence of Combustion to maybe turn that on. They have Goblin Tomb Raider, which is a stock. Reckless Lackey, a 1/2 first strike haste that you can sacrifice. And then he makes a treasure token, so a couple different ways to turn on the Blast Runner. Voldaren Epicure, sort of pseudo haste, but the one damage when it enters also turns on the Blast Runner. We got 4 lightning, 4 chain lightning, 4 lightning bolt, 4 galvanic blast, and 2 reckless abandon, which is sacrifice a creature to deal 4 damage to target creature or player. So a very large amount of burn, basically 6 galvanics, 8 lightning bolts. A little bit of experimental synthesizer to get some advantage. It's just interesting to see a variant of burn having some success. The next deck is sort of a pseudo new version of Mono Blue Terror. Barf has been playing this version with a single contaminated aquifer with 4 sneaky snackers. This had been played previously by Carves and also by Adepto Terra, I believe, but Barf seems to be doing pretty well with this specifically. I'm interested to know why they're playing like just 3 abandoned attachments and then playing some number of ponders. And then they have 4 disrupt in the main deck. That's also kind of like a silly card. It's a force spike for instants and sorceries, and you get to draw a card, so you can like target your own spells potentially and draw cards. The next list, this is a little bit spicy. Mono Black Burn from Eden Milk. Mono Black Burn has not shown up in a long time, but some of the benefit to playing a Mono Black Burn style is that you don't get hit by Hydroblast. So no one has really good sideboard cards against you other than potentially Weather the Storm or just major amounts of life gain. They're playing Serrated Scorpion. It's a 1/2 that when it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, you gain a life. I don't see any ways to sacrifice it, so it just kind of gets on the table. And Raven of Fell Omens is sort of like a pinger for this deck, because whenever you commit a crime, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life, and it triggers only once each turn. So you cast a burn spell targeting them, you drain them 1, and then hopefully on their turn you also cast an instant. And they also are playing 4 Black Mage's Rod, so a lot of pinger effects in this deck. One of the benefits also for this deck is that a lot of it is life drain. Let's see. Oh, they do have a Viscer's Insight to sacrifice a Scorpion. Let's see. Lose 3 life, gain 3 life, right? That makes sense. Vampire's Kiss drains. They will keep a Reckoner Raid. So this is an enchantment saga. Each opponent loses a life and you gain a life, and then it turns into a 2/2 menace. Yeah. Pretty stuck, but it's cool that we haven't seen Blackburn in a while, and Eden Milk was able to 5-0 with that. The next list is Mono Blue Control. I've seen this once before. I did do a video on the Mono Blue Control deck. It's just really sick that someone managed to pick this up and succeed with it again. It's just a hard control with a bunch of counter spells of Jur in the main deck because you have Cryogen Relic. Things like, I really wonder what they faced in this specific league, but really neat if you want to go hard control. Now, here we have from New Barola a mono green Ponza. We've seen gruul Ponza mostly for a long time. This one is allowed to have much better mana with 17 forests only as their mana base, and then Sprawl Wild Growth. As soon as you get to 3 mana, you start Thermokarsting. 4 mana has the Monvoli Acid Moss to blow up a land and grab a forest. But the main deck is pretty clean with 4 Arbor Elf, 4 Eldrazi Repurposer, 4 Llanowar Visionary. This used to be pretty stock, where it's a 3 mana 2/2 that adds a green and also draws a card. Looks like the upgrade here is the Primordial Pachyderm from TMNT. It has Reach and Trample. When it enters, you gain 2 life. So I guess that's a little bit of a way to get through, or like gain a little bit of life against the burn decks. Dungeon Hunter in the main deck, Altasaur in the main deck. These all make sense, and they have 3 ram throughs for interaction. Being instant speed is very good, and having Trample. When you have Trample, it deals the excess damage to the creature's controller. So they have Trample, Trample, and Trample. So that makes the ram through a good choice. In the sideboard, Monstrous Emergence has 4 more removal spells, but these are sorcery speed. They have Weatherstorm for burn, Deglamour for artifact decks, and Relic of Progenitus. So pretty straightforward. It's cool to see that succeed. The next deck is another Fangren Tron deck. This one's from Sid or S1D. So the interesting thing about this deck is they are playing a essentially blue-green monster Tron. Got the Maelstrom Colossus. Wretched Griff here as another way to get some card advantage. Boulder Branch Golem for life gain. Annoyed Altasaur is cool here. It's got Reach and Trample and Cascade to get you some more value. So now they have 8 value creatures, 10 value creatures. This is a 2-for-1, this one's a 2-for-1, and the Wretched Griff is a 2-for-1. And they also have 4 3-for-1s with Unfathomable Truths. Draw 3 cards, create an 0/1 Eldrazi spawn, and it's an instant. The tech pieces here, 3 of this Dirger Island Dragon, which has Skimming Strike as an omen you can cast, which is tap up to 1 target creature and draw a card. And for 6 mana, it's a Flying Ward too. That's a cool way to interact with your opponent. They also have Rooftop Percher. I first saw this in an Elves list in Pauper, but it's a 5 mana 3/3 flyer changeling. When it enters, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards and you gain 3 life. They've got some more life gain in the main deck and also can mess with people's graveyards. That's pretty good. The Ancient Stirrings is neat because it can pick up the Rooftop Percher, can also pick up the Unfathomable Truths. And then they have 7 maps with 4 Expedition Map, 3 World Map, 2 Refractor, and 4 Prophetic Prism. It looks very clean. And they have Fangren Marauder on the sideboard. So much life gain in the sideboard. Bramble Worm. Scour from Existence is exile target permanent, which can be backbreaking into like a bounce land deck. Staunch Throne Guard to get extra cards if your opponent's not playing creatures, because you'll have the Monarch. 1 single Serene Heart for Bogles. Okay. And then a couple of relics. That makes sense. Now we are in the top 4 spiciness level, right? We have an Esper Affinity from Gilberto Antunes. They were a burn player that switched to food combo. Now apparently they are an Esper Affinity player. They've got the Glinhawk Core Skyfisher refurb nonsense, but because they're playing Esper, they can also play Cryogen Relic to pick up. And they have the 4 Utron Monitors in the main deck. No Mirror Enforcers here. It's kind of like Black-White Blade, but with extra value. Next up, Esper Ephemerate. So Crazy Leg congratulations, you were able to 5-0 with Esper ephemerate. Basically Jeskai ephemerate, but no wildfire. And a bunch of removal spells and some ephemerates to get all your nonsense back with your Archaeomancer. Dinrova Horror is pretty sick. Other one here, tech piece, Mournwell. We haven't seen this in a while, but this was played in Tron back in the day. When it comes into play, target player discards 2 cards. You can evoke it for 3 and a black. So if you ephemerate this, your opponent is not going to have a hand. It is the Pain Snail. Top 2. I had a hard time deciding which was the spiciest list, but for second place for now, this is a red-green Stompy deck. It's playing Raphael Tough Turtle from TMNT, and they also have Molten Gatekeeper, so they have a lot of ways to ping out your opponent, and 4 Impact Tremors. This is like the Impact Tremors tokens deck, but a little bit more power. They have 3 Galblast, 4 Lightning Bolt, Glimpse to make tokens, Malevolent Rumble picks cards and make tokens. Also, when you bin the Gatekeeper, you can eventually unearth it. This deck is pretty sweet. I wonder how well it actually does into the metagame. They have a couple of Essence Wardens for life gain in the main deck, some 4 Weather Storm, some Breath Weapon, Troublemaker Oof, an additional Galvanic. Interesting that they couldn't find main deck space for that. All right. Spiciest list of the week is Azorius Fairies from Bandas. I've never seen this succeed before, but they were able to succeed with Azorius Fairies, Fairy Seer, 7 Inspectors, Core Skyfisher. They've got Moon Circuit Hacker, 1 Archaeomancer, and 1 Ephemerate. This is gnarly. There's a lot going on here. So congratulations to Bandas for the spiciest list of the week. Although I do have some more spice. Over the weekend, I played in the Upstate New York Pauper Open 3. We have a very spicy. It was won by Mono Red Madness versus Mono Red Rally in the top. And I believe Rally took it down. It's listed as Madness taking first. Then Cycle Storm was in the top 8. This Temur ramp deck is the one I wanted to pick out. This player has a list that dunked on me playing my Ruby Storm deck, and they actually paired into all 3 Ruby Storm players that were in the entire event. So the way this deck works, you have the Arbor Elf, and you have Voyaging Satyr to untap lands. Now, there is a 2/2 that you can play instead of Voyaging Satyr, which is probably better, and it untaps target snow land, snow permanent, so I think I would play that moving forward. But they're going to enchant their land with things like Fertile Ground and Utopia Sprawl, and they're playing Land Grant to get another land. So they have 8 lands plus 4 Land Grant, which in my opinion is very sketchy, but obviously they were able to make it work. We have 1 Islet, 1 Wooded Ridgeline, and this is sort of a combo deck that's mostly a control deck. They're looking to use the Arbor Elf and Satyr combined with Sewer Valence Cam to make a ton of mana and draw a bunch of cards. Sewer Valence Cam by itself draws 2 cards, and they also have Deep Analysis to draw cards. They have 3 Prohibits, 3 Mystical Teachings, 2 Lightning Bolts, 1 Pyromantics. This is an instant for 1 in a red that you can replicate for 1 in a red. Deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So you can just fireball somebody from infinity. They also have Nyxborn Hydra as an outlet to their mana. Writhing Chrysalis in the main deck makes a bunch of sense. Oh, they also have 4 Generous Ents, so I suppose it's maybe a little bit easier to find a land, but 8 lands is scaring me. 1 single counterspell, 3 Prohibits. So the thing is, this deck has the combo of Retraction Helix plus Camera plus Arbor Elf, but they only have a single Retraction Helix, which they're fetching with the 3 of Mystical Teachings. They drew their Retraction Helix against me and destroyed me. So I was a little on tilt. Not really. Congratulations to, I believe it was Mason. Yes, Mason Crease. That's pretty epic to make a top 8 with a brew of your own. Now let's go ahead and look at Herbalinxi's data from the challenges over the weekend. The Thursday Pauper Challenge, Dimir Terror, and then Grixis Affinity were the most played, with lower win rates. 3rd and 4th, Mono Red Madness and John Wildfire with pretty solid win rates. Then we have Golgari Gardens, 2 players with a 58% win rate. It's hard to glean whether or not the win rates matter at this point after you only have 2 pilots. The next day on Friday, we have most played decks, White Weenie and John Wildfire, Grixis Affinity, third most played deck, but the top 2 decks with the mid win rate and the third most played deck with a good win rate. On Saturday, most played decks, Mono Red Madness and White Weenie. Madness with 16 and 16 for an even 50%, and then Mono Blue Terror in third place with a solid win rate. So it's just weird to see those have Azorius familiars, 2 pilots going 4 and 2 each. Neither of them apparently making it to the top 8. So the metagame seems pretty open. We don't have a Sunday Pauper challenge because poor Curb's power went out, but he is doing the Lord's work, doing a great job getting us data from the Pauper challenges. I really appreciate that. Make sure to comment and say, go Kirby. Let me know if there's anything that I missed from this or some decks that you thought were pretty good. Hit me up with a comment, and I will see you in the next video.